Okay, so what are your first thoughts of driving a 1961 British sports car?
We just reach out and drag my knuckles across the pavement real quick.
All right, so it's the next day, and I just came out after work and tried to start this thing again. It started right up. I mean, super easy. Just pulled the choke, cranked it, and it hit right off. The other day when I ran it, had a really high idle, so I was going to try to work on that. But today the idle seemed back down to normal, so I'm not sure if I've got a vacuum leak somewhere or what's going on. But I'll just have to mess with that over the next few times I start it. But one thing I noticed when I drove it around a little bit yesterday was that it was kind of hard to, like when I came to a stop, I had to give it some revs to get going again. It felt like the brake was on. So I jacked the rear of the car up, and this tire, I'd say the brakes are locked up on it. It is like super hard to spin. And I checked the other side, which is normal. So I'm gonna take this tire off and see if I can figure out what's going on, if the brake is just adjusted too tight or what's going on with it. All right, so I have got the drum off, and these brakes are all nasty oil soaked. You can see the oil like on top of this hub. And once I got the drum off, I can spin it. So it's definitely the brakes problem. It's not something in the differential or something like that. So I'm wondering if it is like a leaky seal from the axle shaft. It all needs to be cleaned, so that's the first thing, I guess. All right, so here it is with the shoes off, and you can definitely see the moisture in there. So I'm gonna clean it up and then try to figure out by doing some research if that is a seal that's leaking. All right, so it's the next day, and I've done some research here. I've got this all cleaned up as much as I could. There are two seals in these units. There's a seal up here in the shaft and then a seal down back up in here. This seal back up in here is supposed to keep the grease. There's a grease zert right down there. By the way, do you call it grease zert, or do you call it grease fitting, or do you call it alumite? I always grew up calling them an alumite because that's what my dad called them. I don't know if that's like a part of the country thing. Leave me a comment down below. Do you call it an alumite or a zert? This alumite back here, if you fill that full of grease, this seal up in here is supposed to keep that grease from going from that bearing from coming out into here. The seal back up in this axle is supposed to keep your differential fluid from running up there and getting into all this. So it looked like it was oil, differential fluid oil that was in here. It didn't look like it was grease, unless it was grease had gotten hot and turned into liquid. So I'm hoping it's this seal back up in here, because we can take this whole axle shaft out and replace that seal. If it's this one up in here, then it is a nightmare. You have to get a special kind of puller to get this hub off, or you can use a big humongous shop press to try to get it off. But they say these hubs are really hard to get off, so I can get this whole thing off as a unit if it's this back one and replace that. So I'm going to order that small seal and new brake drums or brake shoes and try to get all that repaired. So I'm going to be waiting for some parts again. Alright, so I'm going to start taking this apart. My parts still aren't here yet, but I figured if I go ahead and get it apart, then it'll just be that much faster when they come in. I can just put it back together. So first thing to do is to get this e-brake cable disconnected right here and unhook unfortunately the brake line, which means I'm going to have to bleed the brakes, which I hate that job. And then there's 6 bolts, I think, right on the back side of this plate here. And once we get those off, then it should just slide out, and we'll take a look at it. Alright, so I went ahead and took the wheel cylinder off just because it makes it easier to get to the bolts on the back side. So here it is. And these are the two clips and the e-brake little lever there that all hooks in there. And the bolts are not easy to get to, and with, you know, whenever we got 60 years of crud back up in there, and these are the nuts that hold on there. I ordered new ones of those. Those are the little keepers that once you put the bolt in, you bend these tabs up on it, it keeps them from coming back out. But now this thing should just pull out. So let's see. Oh, yep, well that's easy. Alright, so I could have left all the brake line stuff hooked up. That's great. Alright, so there's what it looks like with all the grease out of the way. There's my seal that I need to get out. There's the shaft out. And I'll clean that plate all up and stuff. There's a little shim that goes in back here. Remember to put that back in. There's the hole for the greaser, or alumite. So the grease looked really black and old, so I'm glad we'll replace that. See what it all looks like when we get it out. Alright, so hopefully these are the tools I need. These are the little bearing or seal remover tools. And here's a slide hammer that'll screw in that we can kind of tap it out with. So hopefully this will just slide in there in the seal and get behind it and hook our hammer to it, and we just tap, tap, tap till it comes out. Wish I had a tripod, I'd show you. Alright, so it popped right out. This really is too big for this seal, so I had to kind of turn it around, use just the end of the little puller thing to go around and tap it out, because it's too wide really for it. But it's gone, so I'll clean that all up and get ready to put the new one in whenever it comes in. Alright, so I would say this is the problem, hopefully, because there's the old seal, and I mean it looks like original. I don't even know if that's rubber. I'm sorry, I was headed out of the camera. I don't even know if that's rubber. But alright, so I'm back at my house, and I took the backing plate off of the Triumph that we're working on that seal, and cleaned all the 60-some years of crud off of it. So now I've got it looking like this. I'm going to go ahead and sandblast it and paint it before we put it back on. So I just hate to put it back on in that condition. So be one painted thing on the whole car. All right, so there it is, sandblasted. So I'll go ahead and get it cleaned up some more to get with some wax and grease remover on it and get it painted. All right, so I'm back at the car. I've got my parts in. There's the box full of them. Got my backing plate all painted, nice and clean, ready to go back on. And I'm getting ready to get my seal installed, which I'm going to get kind of started with my hands in here. And then I've got a big socket on the end of this extension that's the right size for that, and I'm going to tap it in there with that. Hopefully I can get it in there straight. Then I'm going to take the wheel cylinder off and start putting the backing plate back on. So I've got this thing back on, all the bolts are tightened up. I've got this tape around here to keep these two little wedge type cylinders in there from falling out until I get all the brakes back on, because I cleaned it all up. Now they're just kind of loosely in there. There's not a bunch of crud holding them in. Got everything hooked up, so I'm ready to put the new shoes on. And you may ask yourself, what is this in the background here? If you're not used to British cars, or especially these older ones, that is the shock absorber. So there's fluid in there that you're supposed to check, and it's probably, who knows how long it's been since it's been checked or filled up. I probably need to do that while I've got the tire off. But you have to have like a special fluid, which I don't have, so I guess there's no point in it right now, but I'll get some of that ordered. Interesting how that works. So you can see what it's hooked to, a little link there. The arm is to the hook shock absorber. The link goes from there down to right here, so it's to the bottom of the spring, and that just what keeps it from going crazy when you hit a bump. So I'm gonna keep on putting this together. I'll get the shoes next. Okay, so I've got all that back together. That's a pain trying to get the two springs both on there at the same time without one of them flying off while you're trying to stretch them out. And I've got little keepers on there. So I'm ready to put the drum back on, and then I'll adjust this thing all the way out until it doesn't turn, and then I'll back it back off a little bit till you just get like a little bit slight drag, I think, on the drum. That's how you do it. And we'll see what we get after that. Also have to reconnect the emergency brake here. All right, so I've got this thing where it's just slightly dragging every once in a while. I've got the emergency brake hooked back up, so I am ready to bleed the brake, which, since I've only had this one loose, hopefully that'll be easy. I have to go get some brake fluid, make sure my cylinder's full, and then have somebody push on the brake pedal and just crack it a little bit until I let the air out. All right, so I've got the brakes bled, and I had to call or text Doug, the guy that owned it before me, my cousin, and ask him what kind of brake fluid he used, because you don't want to mix those. He said, I think not 5, which is the purple stuff. That is awesome, because I knew he rebuilt the cylinder for it, and so when I bled it in the back, it looked clear, but then when I opened up the reservoir here and shone a light in there, it was purple. So purple is what you definitely want, because that stuff is not like a killer to paint. If there's a leak somewhere, it won't kill the paint. So that's what I did in the Spitfire. I used all .5, so glad you did that. Good job, Doug. So now let's get the tire back on and take this thing for a spin, and hopefully going down that driveway we don't end up in the grass over there. All right, so I'm ready to go take this thing for a spin. I probably won't be able to show you while I'm driving it because I don't have anybody to drive with me, but let's see how good this thing starts. Pretty good. Well, that was a success. No issues at all. I went probably 4 or 5 miles and it stopped great and drove great and ran good, so I'm happy with that. And I don't think you guys have seen it yet since I've had the top put on it. This is just the old ratty top that's all ripped and nasty. You can see a big old hole in it right here, and I'm gonna get another one of these days, but I was just gonna see what it looked like because I hadn't seen it with one on since I was a little kid. But Sir Andrew is here.
So,
And he's going to drive it for the first time. He's never driven it.
I've never even been in it running. I sat on it on the trailer.
Well, you've never been behind this much power, I'm telling you that, in your life.
I don't even know what to do.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is he has brought the ColorTune. Now this is an awesome little thing if it works. We've never tried it. It's supposed to be awesome.
It's great if it works.
What happens is this has got a little spark plug tester thing that we take a spark plug out, put this in the place of the spark plug, and it's got a glass viewing thing on the end of it. And so we'll start the engine after we go warm it up, run it a little bit. We'll put this in there and then we'll start the engine, and when we look inside this glass tube, you can see it firing, the spark firing. And it tells you if the carburetors are rich or lean by the color of the fire. So if like there's your example, if the fire is red like that, that's incorrect, it's running too rich. If it's nice and blue like that, then you're good. So we'll get it warmed up, take it for a little drive, and then we will adjust these nuts right under here, which I have a little special wrench that fits on those, and we'll adjust them in or out. And this carburetor runs the 2 cylinders on the front, and this one runs the 2 cylinders on the back. So we just have to put that little plug into either the front 2 or the back 2, one of the 2 plug holes.
We're basically gonna have to tune it twice, one for each carb.
Yeah, I'll show you a little more video when Andy's driving it, trying to hold the power back. Okay, so what are your first thoughts of driving a 1961 British sports car?
We just reach out and drag my knuckles across the pavement real quick.
Yeah, you can.
I did. Absolutely terrifying.
The steering is horrible in it.
For a car that weighs 84 pounds, it seems like it would be easier to steer.
Yeah. Oh, you should have cleaned the windshield. Yeah, and it's got
synchros?
No synchro, so you gotta be stopped to get it in first. Probably better leave it third to go up the hill. I don't know if it'll do it fourth. It might. Tops are flapping.
It is, yep.
Yeah. It might rip off. It's so stretched out.
Cool. This is very comfortable though. The seats are very nice. I actually have, I mean, I don't have ample leg room, but I have more leg room than I did in in any of the Solstices.
Yeah. Now I have a hard time believing you're fitting in this thing. He's like 6'4".
I have headroom, and I'm not looking at the top of the windshield. So like I fit in this better than I did in the Solstice, that's insane.
Yeah. Here, let me clean these windows for you.
Oh, thank you. When you're done, I can take that off and brush my teeth with it.
You want some air conditioning?
Lovely. I'm so refreshed now.
Like you need it with a
Yeah.
3-foot solid hole on the side of you. Once we get the steering fixed, it'll be pretty fun. You know,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Little go-kart.
Try the horn.
That is a size-defining horn.
I know. Yeah, the horn sounds like you should be in a Mack truck, not in this little Triumph.
You expect beep beep and you hear brrr.
Alright, so we'll show you more when we get back to the shop. All right, so what'd you think of that little experience?
It's more than a little bit terrifying.
Why?
Why? Because it feels like you're going 108 whenever you're doing 35 miles an hour.
So yeah, it seems like you're doing 90 when you're doing 30, but were you surprised at how much pep it had for, like, what's it got, 90 horsepower or something like that, or 60 horsepower or something? Yeah, we pulled out, there's a little scenic kind of turnaround area, and on the right side, traffic coming on, you can't see anything, so you just got to pull out and hope for the best. And we pulled out and I goosed it. I mean, we were already heading down the road, and it felt like, I mean, this thing had plenty of power. Yep. So the only complaint is I feel like I'm gonna die constantly because you've got this much sheet metal between you and certain death, and then Dad and I both have gigantic feet, and so having your feet trying to fish around in that tiny little footwell is difficult. Well, yeah, and the pedals are so tiny. I don't know if I've ever even shown you that. It's hard to tell from this angle, but they're like way off to the left and they're small. You can see how this giant clod, for reference, clod hopper. Look how tiny the accelerator is. So anyway, now that it's warmed up, we're gonna hook up our ColorTune stuff and see if we can figure this out. All right, so we've got the ColorTune put into this front cylinder. So it's way up in there. I don't even know if you can see it. And then we've got this extension on here so we can hook our wire to it out here where we won't block our view of that glass thing. So I'm gonna start it up and we'll see if we can see what's going on in that glass. Here we go. Definitely rich, very rich. So I've got to try to adjust that nut down until that starts turning blue. It's very hard to get to.
So those are right in the way, so we have to take that off 1/4 turn at a time. We'll be back with you momentarily.
So this is the nut we're adjusting. This is our teeny tiny little special wrench that goes on that. And so I'm gonna adjust it. I think this is the right way to make it leaner. Adjust it up, I think. So I'm gonna start it up and we'll see if it changes the flame color.
It's like whiter now.
Whiter?
Hey, blue. It's not now. When you hit the throttle, it was. Okay, now it's actually. It was for about half a second, now it's back to orange.
Alright, so we adjusted and we finally got it to where it's going blue and idle, I think. I'm gonna rock throttle it up here. Still staying blue?
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna take our ColorTune out and move it to this back side. I think this one was set so rich that it was overpowering that. And so we're gonna move this one back here and make sure that one is showing blue too.
You need to mention, so we were messing with this one, messing with this one, messing with it. I mean, spent like 20 minutes just adjusting this one. And then once he took that one off, took the filter off of that one and started adjusting that screw, it fixed the color on this one.
And I don't think it was supposed to do that. I thought it was this one adjusted just the front two cylinders, but obviously that one must have been so rich that it was overpowering somehow, because they are connected here. But anyway, let's move it and see what it does. Oh yeah. got it glued, so we got the adjustment right. So now let's check our idle. We should have the same suction on each one of these carbs. That one is showing almost 10. That one is showing 7. So we need to back this one off. Showing 8. That is showing 6. Eight, 7. 7.5. 8. So that's really close. 8. 8. That's it. So now that's adjusted correctly. This thing adjusted down to where I feel like it's right. So the only other thing to do is to take it on a spin, which I don't really want to do it in the middle of the night, but maybe this weekend when it's light, we'll take it out there and make sure it's got good power going up hills, and then it idles down right and it just feels right driving it. So I'm gonna leave these 2 air filters off until we drive it, then we'll put them back on.
But we had blue lights in both cylinder banks, so.
Oh, you already got it?
Yep.
Well, we were going to take this out either this weekend, like I just said on the video, but this weekend is now a year and a half later. So what do you say we go and test this thing out and see if the corrections we made to it a year and a half ago are still...
Or if it even starts.
Yeah, if it even starts. See if it even works. There's a big long story. We ended up moving, and one thing that hasn't changed is still at my mom's house. So
different house.
Different house.
3 hours away,
town.
but it's still at her house.
So, but it's getting ready to go to the new shop here in a month or 2. So it's covered in dust because it's been sitting in here forever. Let's see what happens. There's just now starting to get fuel to it, probably. It's got a deep, like a 18-wheeler horn on it.
All right, we're gonna let it warm up and then we'll take it for a spin.
The parking brake is backwards from what you see in like other cars, like American cars. This one release it, you don't push the button, you just pull it forward, and it releases, you let it go, and that's it. And to set it, you got to pull it to where you want it, and then push the button to hold it there. So, British way. And then to get it in reverse, you have to lift this up. Whoops. So you lift that up, spring load it, and then pull it back.
Off we go. Better turn my hat around since we're going so speedy. Oh, now I can't see.
I think I mentioned last time that the biggest downfall of this car is the steering. It's just horrible. It's just real super stiff and like grabs.
Well, that's something that we have to fix, though, right? That's not the way it's supposed to be.
Right. We got to do something about that. And it might need a whole new steering box or something. I don't know. I had one time when I had that Spitfire that I redid that we talked about before on here, which was also a Triumph, and I talked about the pedals are super close together, and I wear a size 14 shoe, and so I was trying to figure out if there was some way to separate the pedals apart, you know, to make it easier to drive. So I got on one of the forums. The Triumph guys are all those old guys who deal with Triumphs all the time, and I said, hey, is there some way to spread the pedals apart a little bit? One guy commented back, is it too late for Keisha foot binding?
I try to make use of my entire foot well when I can. Here, there we go. I got the whole thing. But my legs are almost all the way out. I can't do this in a normal car. This is pretty impressive.
All right, so we have Andrew driving this bad boy
Again.
for the first time in almost 2 years. We cleaned it up a little bit, so it's a little shinier now. There's not so much dirt and dust on the tires. Check them out.
Trying to find the gas pedal because you can't feel it. It's too small. You're like trying to push down on a tongue depressor with your foot. That's not what it feels like.
You know, for as little as we got done on this, it sure took a long time to make this video.
Like 2 years, I think.
2 years for tuning the carburetor and fixing a brake.
We just took this thing on a drive. Dad drove it to my house, and then we cleaned it up a little bit, and then drove it back. And I mean, this thing ran flawlessly.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Last time I drove it, I remember it backfiring and popping, and when I'd let off on it, it'd pop, not in a good way. And this time, it was great. It's got a little bit high of idle that you kind of have to stick your foot underneath the gas pedal and pull it up when you get ready to shut it off, because it's like idling at like, I don't know, 1200 RPMs. It should be like 500 or something. But man, I mean, for sitting that long and not doing that much to it, it was fun. It's a fun little thing to drive.
I mean, it's been 2 years since we started this video, but it's also been like how many months since this thing's ran even?
I started it on Father's Day.
So it hasn't even been started in 5 months, and then I mean, once it got fuel to it, it just fired right up. And
yeah.
What is next for this car? What's the plan?
When we get the shop built and I can actually get it over to my house to keep it there for a while. If you look at the car from behind, you squat down and look at it. It's leaning way to the right. Can you see it down there?
Yeah.
So it's got something going on with the suspension.
It's kind of leaning like this.
These things have really weird rear suspension. It's like got a fluid-filled reservoir under there that kind of makes it pivots on it. I'm sure there's something goofy with that, or it could be a leaf spring that's got a broken leaf and making one side sag down or something, but that needs to be fixed. And then I've got the piece. It's a leather thing that goes around this frame, And if you remember, I think we talked about it before, the tops on these things don't stay on the frame. Whenever you take the top off, you take the top all the way off. It just snaps onto these things. And these are called lift the dot fasteners. And so whenever you buy every car, these might have been in a little bit different place from the factory. So whenever you buy a new anything like the cover for this or the convertible top or anything, you have to actually punch the holes and put the little fasteners on these things to match your car. And so it's like it's not that easy, but I've got the piece to do it. I just don't have the tool, the lift the dot tool to do it.
Just British things, you know.
So that's one thing I'm going to do next. I'd like to take this off and redo it, but that's a big job.
You can see how scratched up and stuff it looks. All those gauges work, but yeah, the thing looks pretty beat up compared to the rest. The rest of the interior is in really good shape, but that looks pretty beat up.
Yeah, and the car looks good on film, but it's got a lot of issues. But I don't know whether to keep the patina. It's not the original paint. It was probably painted like in the late 70s or early 80s maybe. But I mean, it's got, just from sitting in garages and stuff, and people stacking stuff on top of it and all that, it's got tons of scratches. Like all this stuff over here especially. And I'd like to find the mirrors that originally came on it.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was
mirrors.
missing these cool fender mirrors, one for each side.
Yeah. But as far as mechanically, everything that I know of works on it.
Yeah, besides that high idle issue.
Yeah, I've already fixed all the lights and signals and everything. The steering is terrible, and I'm gonna fix that suspension.
Cool. And with that, it's time for our verse of the week, which is Isaiah 43:2, that says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they will not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be scorched, nor will the flame burn you." That's just a good little reminder that no matter what you've got going on in life or what you're going through, that God will be with you and that you're not going to go through it alone. So if you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up down below and then hit the notification bell so you can make sure you get all of our videos, and make sure you get subscribed. And anything else?
Nope.
All right, catch you guys next time.
Who knows what it'll be on?
Or when.
Yeah.
And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.